Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. Right now, Stephen A. Smith currently finds himself in yet another dispute. And this time it has to do with former ESPN host Michelle Beadle. We actually did a show about it where she expressed how she truly felt about the guy, essentially saying that, she prays for his downfall, right? And basically said that ESPN gave him total control of the network and he's walking all over them. I mean, she just went off on him, right? And as you guys know, Stephen A. Smith signed a new deal with SiriusXM. And apparently the time slot that he got was a time slot that used to belong to Michelle Beadle, right? So Michelle Beadle is not a fan of his at all. And then Stephen A. Smith did a response show yesterday. So Stephen A. Smith always finds himself in the midst of some type of drama. But ESPN is going through some other turmoil that was brought to my attention yesterday from a Sports Illustrated article that we uncovered. And I want to read the title of this article. It says, ESPN and the horrible, rotten, no good, very bad week. And I'm like, whoa. Well, what are these guys saying here? So let me continue on with the article. It says, Stephen A. Smith appeared in an AI-generated ad for a sketchy company this week. That's not even the worst thing ESPN has had to deal with this week. And then continues on. ESPN has had a very bad week. They lost a ton of viewers. They lost their gambling app. They have high-profile personalities generating embarrassing headlines, and ratings are down. Just about everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for ESPN over the last week, and there's really no indication that any of these things will change anytime soon. Here's a brief recap of everything the worldwide leader in sport has dealt with in early November. Note that most of it doesn't actually have anything to do with sports. It then continues on. ESPN versus YouTube TV. ESPN has been off YouTube TV for a week now, and approximately 10 million people have been without the network for 2 Monday Night Football broadcasts in a row now. A full slate of college football went unwatched last week. This week, fans will miss college football, college basketball, and the NBA. If ESPN and YouTube TV don't work things out by Wednesday, subscribers will miss the only remaining Inside the NBA broadcast until Christmas. This has led to some ESPN employees telling fans what they can do to take action, which in turn led to Pat McAfee going on ESPN to call out his colleagues, saying, "Stop telling people to go to a website to save a multi-billion-dollar deal. Nobody cares what you have to say." Rip ESPN Bet. After 2 disappointing years, ESPN is shuttering ESPN Bet and breaking up with Penn, who previously couldn't make things work with Barstool Sports. With Penn gone, ESPN will now partner with DraftKings. So say goodbye to all of your favorite ESPN Bet branded bits and say hello to gambling promotions on every single ESPN show brought to you by DraftKings. Stephen A's sketchy solitaire app. Remember when Stephen A. Smith was caught playing solitaire during the NBA Finals? Well, he thankfully turned that into another income stream. This week, Smith debuted an AI-generated ad for a game called Solitaire Cash. So far, Dan Orlovsky, Mina Kimes, Kendrick Perkins, and Laura Rutledge have joined Smith in promoting the app. The main problem? Solitaire Cash is run by Papaya Gaming, a company currently being sued for false advertising and rigged games. Smith and his co-workers pushing the app this week has resulted in the following headlines. Stephen A. Smith and other ESPN partners with obscenely scoozy mobile casino. Solitaire app pushed by ESPN stars faces suit over bots, rigged games. Top ESPN personalities are selling out for Stephen A. Smith's sketchy solitaire app. Awful announcing. It then continues on. According to Alex Walden, a poker scout, Papaya no longer disputes that. At one time, it pitted human players against computer-controlled adversaries. Some were used to fill tournaments and had insufficient human players, but others were deployed to guarantee a specific outcome, win or lose, for a particular player. You would think this isn't the great partnership for ESPN personalities take on while they change betting partners and cover gambling scandals, but as long as people are still watching, bad ratings. The week 9 Monday Night Football game between the Cardinals and Cowboys drew 16.2 million viewers between ESPN, ABC, ESPN2, ESPN, Deportes, and NFL Plus. Considering Dallas was involved, that doesn't sound great, and it turns out it isn't. As SportsCenter's Jimmy Trinier points out, that's down from the last 2 weeks of MNF games and way down from last week's Week 9 matchup. ESPN's PR tweet promoting the ratings as one of ESPN's top Week 9 audiences even earned a community note. And then it says the viewership was down 20% or 4 million from Week 9 2024, averaging of 20.6 million in Week 9 2024 Bucks versus Chiefs. How much of that 20% dip can be directly attributed to YouTube's TV carriage dispute? It's unclear at the moment. But when approximately 10 million people lose access to games, you have to assume it's going to have an adverse effect. So you heard that article from Sports Illustrated. What are my thoughts about this? Well, look, guys. Sometimes companies go through ebbs and flows. Sometimes you have a great year, things are going well. You may have a great quarter, things are going well, you can't miss. And then there are other times where things slow down and you make some mistakes, you have some missteps. I think that's just part of business. Business isn't done in a straight line, man. Sometimes you hit road bumps. Sometimes things are going to happen. Now, the most important thing is to kind of learn from your mistakes, see what you did wrong, see where you can improve, and make things better. One would hope that given some of these missteps that ESPN has made, they would be able to rectify it in some way, shape, or form. It is a bit telling, though, that you have some people like, for example, Pat McAfee, who seems to be kind of a rebel at the network, who's gone at certain executives, is now going at some of his colleagues. That's pretty interesting to see how he kind of views himself. And it's interesting. It seems like Pat McAfee views himself as an outsider working at ESPN. That's the sense that I get. Whereas you have people like Stephen A. Smith who have made it publicly known that, he is ESPN through and through. So they're currently going through a difficult patch, but that doesn't mean that ESPN is going to come to an end tomorrow. We've been hearing this for years now, right? ESPN is going to fall apart and the company is going to fail, and somehow, some way, they still find a way to bounce back. They're the worldwide leader in sport, right? So for them to lose, it's going to take a lot. And when you look at what just happened at FS1, given all of the shows that they canceled, all of the people that they fired, if there's going to be anybody to topple ESPN, it won't be Fox Sports. So this is something that I wasn't expecting to talk about. So as you guys know, we're amongst the school of thought, Dreamers Pro and a few other channels, where we're not as enamored with modern athletes as the way some people are. Some people really love to promote the modern guys, say that, hey, they're much better than players from the past. They're more advanced, especially in the NBA. They're more, they just say they're better. They say they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, all of these things, which are not true, and none of which can be proven, right? We've had tall players in the NBA 20, 30 years ago. We have tall players now, right? We've had quick players in the NBA 20, 30, 40 years ago. We've had quick players now. We've had athletic freaks decades ago. We have them now. Just go all the way back to Spud Webb and Nate Robinson, and you can look at freakishly athletic point guards like Russell Westbrook, Derrick Rose, and you have John Morant, and I mean, like Zion, Blake Griffin. These are we've seen examples of this. We've had quick players like Allen Iverson and others. So we've already seen examples like this. But I think the reason why people say that is because people like to feel like things are getting better. So they say that, and we can actually look into society and see that society is actually regressing. And there's a lot of evidence to prove that, to show that society is actually taking a step backwards, and human beings, you can make an argument, are getting dumber by the day with all of these aids that they have, causing them to use less of their brains, but somehow people still believe that we're making strides moving forward. But anyway, I digress. So you have that going on there. But one of the other things that we've said is that if these guys are so smart, why do they play such dumb basketball? right? Why is the style of basketball that they play so stupid? I mean, you guys watch basketball from a night-to-night basis. You see things that make absolutely no sense. You see 6'10", 11, 7-footers standing at the three-point line, taking out their side. Like, it's just incredible to me. You're 7 feet tall. You clearly have an advantage, a physical advantage, and you're just taking it out of the game, right? You see you guys running a 2 or 3-on-1 fast break instead of running a 3-man weave. These guys are flaring out to the three-point line to take a lower percentage shot. You've seen, how many plays have you seen when guys break down a defender, a guy will get right to the cup and then kick it out? You're like, what? Right? Guys play like robots. They're not thinking anymore, right? I think you're supposed to evaluate each play based on what the defense is giving you, but that's not the case here. Players just play like robots. Regardless of what the defense is giving you, regardless of what shot is there, they just keep running the same thing over and over and over. And one of the people that pointed this out a number of years ago was Kobe Bryant. And he basically called it accidental basketball. Now, if you want to know a sharp mind that can tell you to talk basketball, Kobe was one of them. So what we want to do is we want to quickly play what Kobe had to say a few years ago about the modern era guys and their basketball IQs. Take a listen to that there.
The thing about the triangle offense, which makes it so deadly, is that it gives you a structure. And within that structure, you have complete freedom. And so even though defensively you know what it is, the sequence that we're executing, we have counters to it.
Counter to everything.
And we all know them. It's hard to beat that.
Yeah.
Phil can start out and say, we want to run center opposite. That's the sequence we want to start with. But now if you deny the wing on that center opposite, that plays off. Now we have counters that come around that.
Yeah.
So like these players now play accidental basketball. And it drives me and Phil crazy because it's all penetrating pitch. You may make the shot, you may not. You have no idea who's going to be open or whatever. It's accidental basketball. We play basketball with purpose. If I got the ball, if Derek Fisher's on the wing, I'm at the top, I know by scouting reports that you guys like to deny the top.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Deny the top. I'll move up a little bit more, drag you out. Here comes Ori stepping in the hole. Catch it. Here I go back door. There's the drop. Off I go.
So you heard what Kobe Bryant had to say. Well, it also looks like another big voice in NBA media, Gilbert Arenas, seems to have come to the same realization. And during a visit on a particular podcast that he was on, Gilbert Arenas said that basically NBA players today are dumb and they have low basketball IQs. So for those of you who didn't hear what Gil had to say, I want to play his comments for you now, and I'm going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to Gilbert Arenas here.
What's the difference between the NBA you played in and the NBA now?
Early 2000s, if you wasn't smart and understood basic basketball, no matter how gifted you were, you couldn't get on the court. Chris Webber, Vlade Divac, Asia, Mike Bibby, that is a smart, intelligent group.
Yeah.
Backdoor read, okay, he's pushing up, backdoor. He has a little limp, let's keep attacking that side, right? You had those type of people, like the Jason Kidd, the Kobe Bryant. You waste a foul, stop a break, and he'll look at you like, yeah, that was a dumb foul. Yeah, you need all 6 of those, and you just wasted one on that. Now you're thinking like, oh, I just wasted a foul on that and I got to guard him. In today's game, make it simple. 5 out, pass and cut. You don't have to remember any plays. Let alone draw a play on this side and then the coach is like, oh, the ball's on that side. Just flip it. Flip it. You would literally lose 85% of the players if you draw a play up and just flip the play. Just say, hey, flip it.
I would say some of the guys in the league, when you just said flip it and you didn't install it, it could be a tongue twister.
Excellent. So you heard what Gilbert Arenas had to say. What are my thoughts? This was already obvious. This was already clear. So if you're watching basketball, you would be able to pick up on this rather quickly. So this is why many people like myself would sit back and look at people with a side eye trying to convince you that somehow these players are more advanced. Like there's no evidence for this, bro. Even if you go down to the most simplistic part of basketball being available, guys are dropping like flies. Guys can't even play a full season anymore. How are players more advanced, but yet they can't handle the rigors of an 82-game season? Meanwhile, guys could do it in the past. Well, what is your explanation for this? Like, can we be serious for a second? Can we be absolutely serious? What's the most powerful thing you have at your disposal? It's your mind. And the fact of the matter is we have a lot of weak-minded players. When you tell a player to do less, their brain accepts less. When you force yourself to do more, your brain will come up with creative ways to make you push past your limits. But it's the total opposite. Guys are told to do more, do less, rest more. So what do you expect? How would an athlete then it's just so stupid on his face. But these guys still want to make an argument for, like, what are we talking about here? Think about the Army for a second. Like, when you take what these athletes try to tell you is something that makes sense, and you try to apply it to other parts in life, you realize just how stupid it is. Let's look at the Army for a second, the U.S. Army for a second. We all know that the most advanced soldiers that they have is a force that nobody even talks about, a unit that nobody talks about, Delta Force, right? And you know that they're various ranks. Now, let's just go through this and think about this as logical people that are using our brains, okay? You don't need 1,000 brain cells to figure this out. 1 or 2 will help you get through it. Wouldn't it make sense to say, okay, for you to become a Delta Force level soldier, it would mean that you would need to be better than a Marine. You need to be better than I don't know, all the various designations. So how would the U.S. government be able to determine who can qualify to make the Delta unit? Well, the way that they would be able to discern that is to put them through the most rigorous challenges, and the people that come out of those challenges successfully, those would be the ones that they would be deemed good enough to be part of Delta, right? But in the NBA, these guys are saying the total opposite. They're saying do the least amount, and then somehow by doing the least amount over years and years and years and years, this is going to produce the most advanced players. This is stupidity. People try to get it over on me, and I think about it. I'm like, this makes no sense. It makes no sense. And this is the reason why you see guys dropping like flies every single night. We already heard Tim Grover break down why he feels like athletes today are falling apart in terms of NBA. We've already heard this. Who doesn't know that if you do something periodically or sporadically, you have a higher likelihood of injuring yourself? Who don't know this? We all know this. If you go to the gym and train hard for 2 straight weeks to the point where you can bench press, let's say 100 pounds, and you take off 2 weeks and you come back and they put the same 100 pounds on the dumbbell, on the the bench press, and you try, what's going to happen? You're going to injure yourself, right? Duh. But if you are continuously doing it, your body has already adapted to it. Like, this is so stupid. But yet, people still try to have this argument with you. And they try to use this pseudoscience to come and explain it to you. Like, come on, we know this already. But what Gil is saying is that the way that these guys even think the game, it's so simplistic because their brains can only really have 1 or 2 functions at a time, or 3 or 4 inputs at a time. And if you try to tell them anything beyond that, they can't figure it out. They can't figure it out. You've all attended math class. What do they do? During math, they give you problems to solve, right? Problems to solve. And then when you get to the examination, what do? You can solve the problems that you are practicing, but they make them a little bit more difficult in the examination. Why? To force your brain to make the leap. That's where you start thinking. Like, come on, we know this already, bro. Like, knock it off. Like, it's okay, bro. I get it. Everybody wants to suck up to the younger guys, but there's no evidence for this. And you got NBA players saying it. That what they're saying is these guys are dumb. Basically, in basketball terms, they're dumb. Gilbert Arenas said, if you run a particular play and they tell you to flip it, they don't know what to do. That's what he's saying. And this is why I used to laugh at Gil when he tries to pump up this error. It's like, Gil, you've already said that these guys are dumb. Why are you trying to blow hot air up there? You know what? We've got an absolutely insane show for you. A show that I never thought we would have to produce. Now, we all know that LeBron James, by a lot of people, is regarded as one of the greatest players of all time. No problem. But yesterday, we got a piece of news that absolutely floored me. Absolutely floored me. And I saw some other creators talking about it, like Too Raw for TV, but one of our viewers sent me the post. And we decided to go live about it. And I looked at the post from Bleach Report that we want to show you guys. And it says, practicing with the G-League. LeBron James is expected to practice with the South Bay Lakers this week as he ramps up his return. And I'm like, you got to be joking. You got to be joking. Then I started to go through the comments, and we don't have to show you guys the comments. I'll just read it for y'all. It says, One guy says, so he's playing with Bronny. Another guy says, this is so disrespectful. Another guy says, the greatest G-League player ever. Another guy says, imagine not knowing and LeBron just shows up at your practice. Another guy says, next, and LeBron drops 127 points in Lakers G-League team, on Lakers G-League team. Another guy says, that's a dream come true for G-League fans. Another guy says, Bron about to put up Wilt numbers. Another guy laughing his ass off saying, why is this funny? And people just kept on roasting him all over the internet. Another guy said Jordan would never. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And one guy finally said the Bronny way. And then I put up a post yesterday on our channel. And the thought just occurred to me. And I wrote, let me pull up the post here because I thought it was pretty apt. And I said, first father and son to play in the G League. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a crazy story. It's crazy. Who would have thought that LeBron James and G League would be in the same sentence? Now, James and G League are part of the same sentence with Bronny. But LeBron James and the G League? Why did they put this information out? This is what I'm trying to, and I know the person that put out the information was JJ Redick. But why did he put it out? You knew what people were going to say. You must have known. You must have known. And now you got LeBron and Bronny making history like in reverse. First, they made history as being the first father and son duo to play in the NBA. And now they're going to be the first father and son to play in the G League. It's just crazy stuff, bro. It's just crazy stuff. But let's get to a more serious aspect of this all. Why is LeBron in the G League? Practicing with the Lakers. He's there practicing with the Lakers, their G League team, to ramp himself up to be able to return to play with the Lakers. I have a bunch of thoughts that I want to unpack right now. First of all, the timeline of this entire thing has been really, really questionable. The first bit of news we got was that LeBron was going to miss the opening day of training camp. We later on saw him attend the event at with Kai Cenat. Then, the next thing we heard was he was going to miss all of training camp. Now, here's what's interesting about it. During media day, he spoke about some injuries that he had in the past, his knee and I think his ankle. The one thing he never brought up was his sciatica. He didn't bring it up. So I was surprised because I was watching LeBron play golf. He was posting it on his Instagram. So I'm like, you're playing golf with sciatica? How is that going to happen? You're swinging, you're using your legs, your back, everything. So we then heard that he was going to miss all of training camp. Then we heard he was going to miss all of the preseason. Then we heard he was going to miss the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season. And then the timeline has now shifted all the way that LeBron could be making a return in mid-November. Well, folks, we are basically at mid-November right now. Just 2 or 3 days and we're going to be in the middle of the month. And then I said, well, this is curious. We're already at the middle of the month. And then they're saying that, oh, well, you know, after he goes through this 5-on-5 scrimmages or whatever practices, he's then going to be reevaluated in another week or two. And I'm like, in another week or two, we're now looking at going into December. And in all of this, there's a bigger question mark, which is what's going to be the result or the impact of LeBron's health when he returns to the Lakers? Why is this important, guys? Currently, right now, the Lakers, are the number 4 seed in the Western Conference. They have an 8-2 record. They have won a game in a row, and they're 8-10, obviously, 8-2 over their last 10. They had a pretty good win yesterday. Luka Doncic had 38 points. Rui Hachimura had a fantastic game in the second half. Luka's now averaging 37, like 10 and 9. This is just cartoonish numbers, right? And the Lakers have somehow, some way, found a way to establish some type of chemistry, some type of identity within themselves. So in the midst of all of this, on a more serious note, apart from the jokes aside, a lot of us are now sitting back wondering, okay, well, what's going to happen when LeBron ultimately returns to the Lakers? I was watching the game yesterday between the Lakers and the Charlotte Hornets, and I was listening to the announcers because I was watching on a League Pass. So I was watching it from the standpoint of the Charlotte Hornets, and I was listening to the announcers, and one of the announcers that was calling the game said something pretty interesting, which was, he said, LeBron is coming back. And when you inject a player like that back into your offense, back into what you're trying to do, things are going to change. The way players do things is going to change. The offense is going to change. And he's saying he's wondering of whether or not that's going to throw off what these guys are already currently doing. And this is a legitimate concern. Because what's going to happen is LeBron is now the odd man out, as crazy as it sounds. Because if the Lakers have been able to enjoy a certain level of success, certainly more than what most people thought they would do. I thought the Lakers would be competitive. I didn't think they would be this good, a top 4 seed in the absence of LeBron. But if he comes back and they start losing games or they start struggling, then everyone is going to look at the newest variable that was added to the equation, which is him. Right? And I don't think LeBron wants to be in that situation now. Some people have suggested, he should come off the bench, or he should. That's not going to happen. LeBron's not coming off the bench. Like, let's just throw that idea in the garbage. There's no way that's going to happen. No way on God's green earth LeBron James is coming off the bench. When he comes back, he's going to come back as a starter, right? But that's the more serious aspect of all of this. Forget about the fact that we're cracking jokes about him playing in the G-League. Forget about all of that. The more serious question is, when he does finally return, is he going to help the team keep rolling, or is he going to be a hindrance? And that's what a lot of us are kind of waiting to see. Now, personally, I'm like, bro, leave it the way it is, bro. But we shall see. You know it's bad when you have LeBron fans finally coming to the realization that Bronny James is buns, bro. Buns. And that's what we're going to talk about. Yo, guys, look. Can we all just come to the conclusion that Bronny James it's not good enough to be on the Lakers? Can we just all finally come to the conclusion, bro? Like, can we all? Have you noticed that whenever LeBron fans are referring to Bronny, they always refer to him as a kid? Everybody else is an NBA player, but Bronny's a kid. Everybody else in the NBA are NBA players, but Bronny, oh my God, don't say this about Bronny. He's just a young lad. Why are you saying this about Bronny James? He's a young buck. They don't want you to call it for what it is. They're trying to put Bronny in diapers. Folks, it happened again. Yesterday, the Lakers are playing against the Charlotte Hornets, and this should be the clearest indicator that Bronny isn't any good. And I'm going to tell you why. If he were good, how is it possible that they couldn't find a way to play him for at least one good minute? Yesterday, in the victory that the Lakers had against the Hornets, 121-111 victory, let's go through some of the guys that played. Marcus Smart played. Rui Hachimura played. DeAndre Ayton played. Austin Reeves played. Luka played. Jake LaRavia played. Dalton Knecht played. Jackson Hayes played. Jared Vanderbilt played. Bronny didn't play. Bronny didn't play. And this is what I was saying earlier, but LeBron fans, some of them were in the comments crying, oh man, what are you hating on Bronny for? I'm like, he shouldn't be on the roster. And I was going through the list of players. Who would you give him minutes over? Who? There's nobody. And they didn't want to come to this realization. You had people like Richard Jefferson and Tim Legler talking about Bronny has everything. All he needs to do is just work. I'm like, really? All he needs to do is just work on one or two things. Really? Just one or two things? That's all? Folks, let's look at Bronny's stats this year. And the reason it's important to reiterate this is because if in the next game you see Bronny throw down an alley-oop or have a pass or have a dunk or whatever it is, remember that these are the real facts. Bronny in 13 minutes a game. The Lakers are actually giving him an opportunity this year. It's true. Last year, Bronny played 27 games for the Lakers. 27 games. He spent some of his time in the G-League. He was playing 6.7 minutes per game last year. This year, he's playing 12.7. So the coaching staff and JJ Redick are legitimately giving Bronny a fair shake. They are. They're doing their best to see, hey, has this guy improved? You heard him in media day. Oh, my confidence is through the roof. It's like night and day from last year. And in double minutes, 12 and a half minutes, almost 13 minutes a game, he's scoring 2.6 points, 0.3 more points better than he did last year. He's shooting 35% from the field, 33% from the three. He is shooting 100% from the free throw line. He's getting you 1 rebound, 1.9 assists. His turnovers have gone up this year. His steals have improved this year. And blocks are pretty much the same. This is why I was confused when JJ Redick was talking about there's a real role. There's like we're trying to make Bronny a part of what we're doing. What are you talking about? And when I said it this year, I said when I cover the Lakers, I'm going to be covering them from the standpoint of someone that wants the team to win. I don't care about the feel-good story of it all. This isn't LeBron's organization. This is the Lakers. And their fans that are actually concerned with whether or not the team is putting out the best possible product on a night in, night out basis to go out there and compete. And I didn't see how Bronny would be a part of that formula. I just didn't see it. But these guys, and then they try to go to the old ridiculous, I heard some guy, Joe Budden, read out a message from one of these crying ass LeBron fans on his show. The guy was basically saying they don't know who the number 1 pick is, the number 2 pick is. They don't talk about this guy. They don't talk about that guy. Why are they talking about Bronny? Duh. They're going to talk about Bronny because he's LeBron's son. Another reason there's a lot of expectations for Bronny James is because of his father. He said he's better than half of the players he's looking at on G-League right now. He's saying, or he said rather, he could be playing on the Lakers right now. He said that. I didn't say that. The next guy didn't say that. He said, so when LeBron is saying that, of course people are going to listen. Then given the fact that he is LeBron's son and the media is going to be promoting him. Look, the last time he threw down that alley-oop dunk, he was all over the internet. There was another guy that plays for the Lakers. I forgot his name, something Smith. He had a great night and they were putting it out in the media that Bronny is unlocking him. Bronny is unlocking him. If he can unlock him, why doesn't he unlock himself? He had that alley-oop dunk. It was plastered all over the internet. So you're saying that there can always be this positive push and positive posting that these guys are putting out there. But the minute somebody says, hey, wait a minute, beyond this dunk and beyond all of the fluff, this guy isn't really that good. Oh, no, you can't say that. Why are you talking about the 55th pick? The better question is, why is the media promoting the 55th pick all over the place? You saw the video. The day that the Lakers went 6-2, when Bronny played some minutes, what did they post on Gil's Arena? What was the thumbnail? What was the thumbnail? Bronny James helps lead the Lakers to victory. That's what they posted. The guy that had probably the smallest impact on that victory, they posted him. They posted him to the point where people were making videos reacting to what Gil posted. When I saw it, I'm like, I'm not reacting to this nonsense. Because they're clearly doing this to troll. So what some people want is say nothing about Bronny. If he does well, celebrate him. If he does poorly, don't say nothing. And it doesn't work that way. He's an NBA player. Stop calling him a baby. He's not a baby. He's a young adult. If I check Bronny's age, how old is Bronny James? Bronny James is 21 years old. He's a young man. He's not a kid. Now, he may be a kid in the eyes of somebody much older than him, sure. But he's not no baby. He's not being paid like a kid. He's being paid like a professional. And if you step into the NBA and you're a professional, you're going to get talked about. If we talk about great players and trash great players, why shouldn't we talk about bad players? What? No, seriously. We talk about great players and we trash them on a night in, night out basis. When they don't play, we don't stop. We don't, let's not say that about them. So why do we spare the rock? No. If you want to be a part of this, if you want to be a Laker, it's what comes with it. If you don't want to be scrutinized, if you don't want to be talked about, stay in the house. Stay in the house. But if you want to talk and play and do all that, then people gonna talk about you, good or bad.